Fanzone, united by the game, powered by Moore's World of Sport.
Welcome back to Fanzone, your favorite Zimbabwean sports podcast, where we discuss all the sporting activities involving Zimbabwe in and around and what is to come. My name is Sips.
And I'm Steve Vickers. The start of the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League season is getting closer. We're digging deep today, looking ahead to preparations for the upcoming 2026 season. Also in cricket, and not going well at the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup for Zimbabwe. Can we at least win a game? We'll give you our thoughts there. And the big controversy in the last couple of days, Themba Gorimbo, the 2019 Sportsperson of the Year, now says he wants nothing at all to do with Zimbabwe after being criticised on social media. So lots on the show. Welcome back again to Simba Chiminya, Star FM sportscaster.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Look forward to your comments on Themba, because you're an expert on mixed martial arts.
Yes, definitely.
And we've got Rodwell Thabe, the Chief Executive of the Premier Soccer League. Welcome, Rodwell.
Thank you, Steve, and good afternoon to everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Very excited to have you. We're going to go into all of the preparations from the PSL's point of view. It's going to be a packed show, Sips.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a packed show, but just before we get to the PSL, we hosted the Pride of Africa Predictor. So that competition has come to an end, and as we discussed in the last episode, it was Senegal who walked away with a 1-0 victory. Check out that episode. We did a high in-depth analysis and what the game was like. We also caught up with some of the winners. You know, first place Fofo 10, his wife came to our offices and we handed out her prize, as well as second place Maestro 29. So let's have a listen to what they said and enjoy their prizes.
All right, good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's us from Fanzone Sips representing here. We are joined by Advance, also known as Maestro 29, who came second in the AFCON Pride of Africa Predictor. First of all, thank you for making your way down, Advance. How does it feel to be winning, a TV?
It was intense, but it was worth it. With the intensity and everything which went down.
Yeah. And it was a good AFCON. You got to the final stages. What was your prediction for the final?
My final prediction was 1-0 in favor of the host Morocco, but unfortunately Diaz missed the penalty and it costed me about 20 points. So I got 14, so I lost 16 points actually. So that's why I'm sitting at number 2, but still it's okay. It was a good run.
So it came down to your last predictions while you're sitting in second. Yeah. And you came second, very good. What was your secret to making sure you stay in the top 10?
My secret in staying in the top 10 was like, AFCON games, they don't have much of goals. So you can just see the bigger teams, especially when the final 8, where they were just powerhouses, Western Africa versus North Africa. So those games, usually, it's a low scoring range, so you just choose wisely. So I just chose, I think the game that boosted me was the Cameroon and the Algeria game. Is it? Yeah. The 2-0 one. The Morocco versus the Cameroon game, 2-0. Yeah, so that was the good game for me. I predicted for Morocco. I was just going with the hosts, actually. Yeah.
That's good. And so this is now the AFCON Predictor. Will we be seeing you in the PSL Predictor once the season starts? Will you be playing that as well?
Definitely I'll be playing, because last season I came in about 9 games late, so I couldn't catch up with the others. But for this one now, I'm geared up to start from 1 to finish, and hopefully I'll finish in the top 2.
Looking for a top 2 finish. That is Maestro 29, guys. If you're jealous, you want to win a TV, power bank, speaker. Obviously, when the season starts, they're going to be even bigger and better prizes. Go to fanzone.co.zw, sign yourself up, and get ready for predicting. There's no predictions right now, but once the season starts, the predictor will be up. That's us from a Fanzone, and thank you to you as well, Advance, for coming in.
Most welcome. Thank you too. For the wonderful TV. At least I'll be streaming and watching and predicting very well.
All right, guys, we are joined with the winners of the AFCON Pride of Africa Predictor, Fofo 10. He's not here, but his wife, Mai Foster, has come in to collect the prize. Mai Foster, are you excited to be winning a 40-inch smart TV?
Yeah, I'm excited.
You're excited. And did you expect your husband to be winning a TV in the predictor? Like, did you expect a TV to come out of that competition?
Yes, because anga kandisendera screenshot ye leaderboard ari pa number 2. So ndengozviziva kuti kuchaya TV. Saka ndengomudza kuti my guy ramba uchigona usadzika kosi tiri kuda tv iyoyo. Saka paakazondiudza ndapa number 1 ndawina tv nepowerbank nespeaker, ndakafara.
And so your husband has won a prize and he is playing predictor. Will we be seeing you play the predictor in the upcoming season?
No, handinyatsosiva bhora saka handikwanisi kupredict.
And so next season your husband has to now win a car or something even bigger and better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you for joining us. So the winners of the AFCON predictor, Fofo10 and his wife has come here to join us. Guys, remember, if you're jealous, you want to win something, there's no predictors coming up, but it's fanzone.co.zw. Sign yourself up, log in, and when the next predictor competition comes in, be sure to start predicting because it's a tight competition and don't miss out. But that's us from the Fanzone team.
Yeah, so those are our AFCON predictor winners just sharing their thoughts on their prizes. Guys, if you also would like to have a chance to predict, there aren't any prediction competitions at the moment, but it's fanzone.co.zw. And while you're at the website, there are so many articles for you to read, PSL articles, but there's also now Northern Region, Central Region, Southern Region, Eastern Region, all for your disposal. Obviously, that will all help for your predictions going on into the future. But now, Steve, I know that you are excited to get the question starting, so over to you to ask.
Yeah, very happy to have Rodwell Thabe with us, the PSL Chief Executive. Going to look at lots of issues here. Financial fair play, are there too many foreign players coming into our league? But let's start with the easy ones, Rodwell. How's the preparation? Season is kicking off with the Castle Challenge Cup at the end of February, and then first weekend of March we are off and running with the Castle Lager PSL.
Yes, Steve. The league began its preparations the moment we concluded the season last year. As you can see, with the early release of fixtures because we wanted clubs to plan in advance for 2026. And most importantly, for this year, we've taken time since the beginning of December and January to visit the newly promoted clubs for induction processes to get them to familiarize with the administrative side, with the regulations and the expectations of the Premier Soccer League. On the 6th to the 7th of February, we're going to host a 2-day workshop for all the PSL clubs now. It's an engagement forum where we discuss and share ideas, where we review the previous year and agree on how we can improve going forward, gather the concerns of the clubs, and most importantly, we focus on the club licensing regulations, which are one of the most important documents in our football ecosystem. So 6 to 7 will be convening in Harare for all the clubs, and from there we are holding our AGM on the first week of March, because we are going to be kicking off the league also on the first week of March. But as you have said, you have mentioned the Castle Challenge Cup, which is our core focus now, and we have an exciting initiative that will be coming up. We have decided to give this year's Castle Challenge Cup what I can say a charitable theme, in that we are looking to finalize discussions with our principal sponsors, Castle Lager, so that the winner at the end of 90 minutes doesn't only get to capture the prize money of 30,000 take home, but also gets an extra piece to donate to a charity of its choice.
Well, that's great. So Castle Challenge Cup, Scotland versus Dynamos, PSL champions against Chibuku Super Cup winners, and there'll be a charitable aspect as well. So clubs will be nominating home grounds and alternative home grounds as well in the coming weeks. The National Sports Stadium is probably going to be ready for use at the start of the season.
I would be so glad. We have had reports coming from the ministry saying people are hard at work to get the stadium ready for usage on March. That would really decrease the pressure on some of our stadia, like Rufaro Stadium, which is already overcrowded. But in and around Harare, we also encourage our members to take advantage of some of the facilities that are currently being used by one club. Probably you can look at stadiums like the Heart, like Ngoni stadiums, and nearby in also Shamva. So those are options. But if the National Sports Stadium can come back, Steve would be delighted. That would be fantastic. In terms of club licensing, it would make the pressure quite easy for everyone, and it would be fantastic for football too.
Yeah. Now, Simba, you've spoken lots of time on the show about the National Sports Stadium not being ready, going on 5 years now. Are you more optimistic? Are you more excited about these new insights coming in about the National Sports Ground?
Yeah, I think it's about time now because it has been so many years since it was closed, and the reports that are coming in from the ministry to say that probably this year the stadium will be ready, and I'm pretty sure also at the international stage, the authorities would want us to play our home games at home in Zimbabwe rather than playing outside the country.
Okay. Yeah, and so Rodwell, one of your first issues you had to deal with upon your appointment as the CEO was last year. Towards the end of the year, there was a lot of decisions and a lot of rumors going around that the league could potentially extend to 22 teams for the 2026 season. It hasn't gone that way. We're back to our normal 18 teams. But what was the decision making behind that? Who, and tell us that story and how you got to the decision.
You know, at the center of the decision-making process for the league, the core focus is always to make football commercially attractive for our members and our stakeholders. And our members, I refer to the clubs. So a discussion was held around holding a 22-member team league by the Board of Governors. Suggestions were put across. But as you say, ultimately where we stand now is for 2026, we are currently running with an 18-team league. So in future, considerations may be made again for an expansion of the league, but these are things that the board looks at in good faith. But the all intended purpose is to make the league commercially attractive. And at that point, that was what the discussions revolved around. But for 2026 season, I can confirm we have 18 clubs that look to be settling the battle, and all the best to each one of them.
Yeah. It's going to be a very competitive season as well. And also when you look at the season dates, obviously our season runs from March to the end of November, and then Chibuk Super Cup normally in like the first weekend of December, around there, or end of November. But with our teams, Scotland heading into the CAF Champs, Dynamos to the CAF Confederation, there's normally quite a lot of football being played, like the Champs currently at the moment are being played. Has there ever been talks of maybe rearranging the dates or the season start lines so that clubs like Scotland, they're not playing football 12 months of the year?
Yeah, there was also a discussion during the 22-team discussion about a possible change of calendar. And like I said, these are conversations that are all being held in good faith for the benefit of the club. So I think in future, these are things that we'll be really looking at. But we must be mindful of the fact that these attempts have been done before. So maybe before we dive into it, we really need to say what went wrong last time and what have we improved or changed to, prevent a repeat of the same scenarios when we tried to change the season. But ultimately, if it benefits the clubs and their participation in Africa, I think this is what we're really looking to consider, because it's not about the league itself, it's about its members and its stakeholders, and anything that we do is for them. So considerations will be made in the interests of the club.
Take us through the calendar. It looks pretty packed, starting nice and early, and we understand there's quite likely to be a Zifa Cup coming in as well.
Packed and exciting for the fans, Steve, but sometimes an administrative nightmare for me, because with the stature around our teams, we try and limit the number of midweek games that we can have. But as you can see from the release of our calendar in the first half, we're currently having about 3 midweek games. In the second half, we're scheduled to have about 4. Bear in mind that we did not release the exact dates because we're waiting for the possibility of CHAN being there, which the authorities at CAF have said they've scrapped it off. We were looking for the dates for the CAF Champions League. But in a nutshell, what it means is that for the second half of the season, it's going to be a big fight in terms of fixturing. The teams are going to have to toughen up because there will be a lot of midweek games. I'm told we are probably going to have the Zifa Cup, which I'm very happy, and we need to fit it within our schedule so that we are able to finish our schedule as the league as planned by the end of November. But what I can confirm to you is that there shall be a lot more midweek games in the second half of the season. Our Champions League participants, it's going to be a really bit tough for them. But then again, Steve, this is why we have a 30-man squad, a 30-man strong squad. And my advice for all teams is to be able to utilize the whole spectrum of the players, because teams are going to be demanded to play more frequently. And for me, I think it's a plus for the fans. More football, more excitement. It means we'll spend a few more days before we start thinking of the next match. And that is what football and the fans want.
Yeah, so teams with deep squads will be at an advantage. Toughen up, says Rodwell. There's going to be a lot of midweek football this season. Now, foreign players is one issue as well. Last season we had so many foreign players in the league. I think it made it really exciting. Plus we had the likes of Knowledge Musona coming back home as well. What's the situation with a cap on foreign players for clubs? Can they have as many as they want?
So, the first thing is I must admit if anything is to be listened to what is going around the pre-season preparations, I think we're going to have a very, very exciting season. Teams seem to be bolstering up internally and externally with foreign players. Currently, the league has a resident cap for the number of foreign players that one club can sign. Well, they can sign as many, but in terms of registration procedures, they are only permitted to sign no more than 5 during the season.
To register no more than 5.
Yes, so whether or not we'll open up that space, like I said, it's a conversation for Congress, and our Congress date is in the first week of March. But from a league perspective, I'm quite excited. It means the league is now becoming more attractive. It used to be the other way around, Steve, where the flow of talent used to be from our country to other countries. But now if other talented players are able to come here and prove themselves, then I'd be so happy. But I always insist, I want us to attract quality, Steve, not quantity.
Yeah.
So I would love to see those foreign players, give us their all and prove their worth amongst the equally talented players that we have in Zimbabwe. Such a vast pool. Yeah. Good luck to everyone, but I, for one, have no problem in terms of accommodating. I think the president also has told us this country is open for business, and in that aspect, why not have the foreign players come? But like I said, the quota system must be regulated efficiently to give a chance to the foreigners and to the local players.
So the clubs will decide on this. At the moment we've got players from Eswatini even going to be featuring this coming season to look forward to as well, but the clubs will decide on that. Yeah,
very exciting as well. And then also we know that you are having lots of conversations, Rodwell, but in the PSL there has been an imbalance, I guess to say, amongst teams between financial fair play. Obviously, a lot of the teams are competitive and they are able to get through the season, but there also are some teams who do struggle and fall behind a lot. Has there been some sort of talk of like financial fair play?
Not at the moment, but these are topics that the Congress can consider in future. For me, I would like to look at it as a perspective where our league is coming from an era where financially we were very weak as a system. Now that the clubs are spending more, now that the clubs are willing to pump in a lot of money into the system, I think it's commendable, and I must congratulate the club owners, the club sponsors. It's not easy financing a Premier Soccer League team, so kudos to them. But at the moment, my core focus is getting this league as commercially attractive as possible. So on my thoughts now, personally, I have no thoughts of any financial fair play regulations. But at the same time, if it gets to such a point where the gap is widening between the top teams and the bottom teams, it might be a discussion that we need to consider. But when I look at the spectrum now, I think really the number of teams that are struggling or not signing top quality players are few. The majority of teams are either doing it publicly or some of them silently. But what I know is come the 6th of March, we are going to see surprises when the stars get onto the field. Everyone will be equipped. I'm very, very sure of that.
Yeah, okay, so now another controversy in recent weeks, Rodwell, is the Hunters FC franchise Eastern Region champions, Harare City and Mombiyawara, both vying for that. Don't need to go into the mechanics of that, but there was a deeper issue here of whether a club can have 2 clubs, whether an owner can own 2 clubs, dual ownership. We know there are restrictions on this in other countries. It's difficult to actually prove, of course, but what's your understanding of dual ownership? In other words, can an owner have 2 clubs in the PSL?
Well, the club licensing regulations are very clear on that aspect. So it's a purview for ZIFA to determine really, but sometimes, as you are aware, we assume that certain clubs have dual ownership, but when we go into the documentation structures, they prove otherwise. So it's an issue that ZIFA looks at prudently. Currently, the ZIFA team, the club licensing manager and part of the FIB, are going around the country engaging all the 18 clubs, and this is the documentation they are looking for. So we wait to see the results from that, but it's purely a club licensing issue, and I'm sure ZIFA are fully equipped to handle such situations in our league.
And to establish ownership, you can only look at shareholding, I guess, is it?
Yes, there's a strict array of paperwork. It's not only by word of mouth or assumption to say who owns what. It has to be proven. Even for single-owned teams, by the way, those who have single owners, like some of our teams, they would have to prove either through a shareholding certificate or an affidavit or some documentation of some sort, or a constitution that empowers and rightly declares them as the owner of the club. So this is how club licensing works now. Even when it comes to the technical team, it is no longer enough to say my coach is qualified in this. The documentation is actually uploaded onto the system and verified.
Right. Interesting. So, I mean, just hypothetically, not talking about any club in particular, but if I own a club and I've got another one and I register it, the shareholding in my wife's name, for example, that circumvents any issue as far as the rules operate here?
The FIB primarily looks at what they call the ownership and control of clubs. So, it becomes a grey area, but then when we talk of control of clubs, it becomes to say when the decisions are made, especially at board level or executive level, is there a certain person that has influence in more than one club? If that is the reason, then it becomes a problem. But like you said, you register a club perhaps in your wife's name. We don't know the decision-making process that is involved within your family. Perhaps she does it independently. But from an ethical point of view, it becomes something that the FIB looks at stringently. And sometimes we have expectations as administrators or fans, but the FIB are a qualified body. And in instances where sometimes clubs may feel like they have lost the case in terms of an ownership structure, they have the right to appeal to an appeals body. So there's a judicial process to it. And I'm sure the fact that we have never had such a problem in Zimbabwean football means ownership structures are well defined in each club.
Yeah. And so we've discussed that there will be a packed season. The boys will have to toughen up, as Rodwell has said, Simba. But with the league, the Chibuk Super Cup, and now the ZIFA Cup coming into the season, do you think the ZIFA Cup will bring more competition, or will we just see more tired bodies running on the field?
Actually, I think the whole season from the start with the Challenge Cup, the Castle Challenge Cup is going to be really exciting, because I look at the fact that towards the end of the last season there was so much competition, and now you look at the foreigners that are also coming in. I must say that when you get national team players coming in, and I'm really happy with the players that are coming in. You look at the players that are coming from Malawi, almost all of them are in the Flames national team. You look at the Eswatini players that are in the Eswatini national team. The guys that are also coming in from Namibia are also in the Namibian national team. And these are adding some value. And you look at the top teams right now that we are touting as the title favorites. And the money that is being splashed, and without doubt, money makes things happen. You look at Adrock, look at Scotland, you look at the budget that is also at Chicken Inn right now. And Chicken Inn is one of the teams that would say was just a modest team in terms of a capital injection. But this year, there is a lot of injection into it. FC Platinum, Simba Bora itself. So I must say that it's not just about, the ZIFA Unit Cup. Yes, it's good that it's back. And it also gives us some competition, because you're going to see that there are teams from the 4 regional leagues that are also going to cause upsets and are going to be really competitive. And you remember the days that we used to have Haydn Raiders?
Yes.
Yeah, and
with Brennan Siska still playing.
Yes,
the
and
social club.
Yeah, it caused an upset, and
they beat Caps.
Yeah? Alois Ngwerume,
yes,
from playing that ZIFA Unit Cup, went straight to Moroka Swallows in South Africa. So this is the kind of excitement that we need. So I'm just thinking that 2026 is not going to be like any other year in the local Premier League.
Yeah.
It's just going to take the bar a bit high.
Well, tell us about the broadcast side of things. Last year, for us as fans, it was fantastic. We could watch 3 games many weekends on TV with ZTV and ZTN. Many radio stations were broadcasting live games as well. What's the situation for 2026?
The PSL is still operating what we call a multi-broadcaster system, where we have no exclusive rights to one particular broadcaster. The main aim is we want to get to a level where up to 9 matches are able to be broadcast live. at
9
different-
matches?
Yes, per week.
Wow.
That is the dream. That is what we want to go to. So that is why we are operating a multi-broadcaster system, where the broadcasters for now, we are saying to them the cake is big enough to share. Come, let's ensure that the product is packaged correctly, goes out there. Once we have 9 matches live, then for us, I think we have satisfied the minimum fan expectation, and it brings great value to our league. So to all broadcasters out there, the door is open for business. We are still engaging now.
Yeah.
I think we did very, very well with the broadcasters we had last year, but there is always an expectation to expand our global footprint to regional platforms. So you are looking at your big broadcasters that broadcast on multi-territorial platforms in Africa, beyond the world, on live streams. So listen, Fanzone, if they are up for the game, the door is open. They can come. We have discussions. They grab a game or two. The space is competitive, but our dream is to have those 9 games fully broadcast live.
Wow.
Or, if not live, at least they must be then re-televised, some of them on a delayed basis.
9 games is all the games.
All the games.
So we're looking beyond your traditional ZTV and ZTN. You could be looking at games being streamed online as well by
Yes.
other broadcasters.
Which is why we are inviting all streaming partners, other TV stations to come in. We are saying for now, the cake is big enough. There is no fight at all.
Right, and then
Yes.
you want to journey, I guess, towards having rights that bring some income of note for the clubs.
Yes, presently, maybe people may not be aware, just last year, all the broadcasting partnerships that we had brought some income for the clubs, unlike previous years where it was more or less on a let's get advertising revenue, let's share this. There were fixed amounts to the broadcasting rights which the clubs received. They shared equally all the broadcasting rights amount. So we get more broadcasters, more money for the clubs, and our mandate is done as the league, because we need to make sure that these clubs are commercially attractive and they get as much money as they can from broadcasting rights, from touchline advertising. So for us, it's a platform that is open. Discussions are still ongoing, but we are looking to strengthen the revenue streams from what we had in 2025. So definitely there will be more money for the teams in terms of TV rights. Yes, we are still growing. The platform is not where it is as of now, but the entire idea is to grow it, Steve, not to stifle it. So like I said, to broadcasting partners, the business door is very open for engagement. Let's talk. Let's see what we can do for the clubs.
Including games outside of Harare and Bulawayo as well, yes.
Definitely, when we talk of the 9 games, and what's good now is, in previous years, 2-3 years ago, I must admit, it would be difficult. You would find peak games, you would find ordinary games. Right now, I'll tell you, that game that you think is least attractive has a lot at stake. So the league is now at a level where every game is now commercially attractive. So if we have all the 9 games on a live or delayed basis, for us, I think we'll be growing as a league, and that is where we want to start.
Wow.
Well, so many things to look forward to in the 2026 season, the Premier Soccer League, obviously, but also the Chibuku Super Cup, and maybe also the Zifa Cup. And in cricket, we've been hosting the Under-19 Men's Cricket World Cup, and Steve, we have just snuck through to the Super 6 on a net run rate. As you said, there's going to be a battle between us and Scotland, but I guess, we'll take that and we'll head through to the next stage.
Yeah, it's it. I got a degree in maths and I couldn't understand net run rate. It was beyond me, because I thought we had to win our last game, but we lost our last game less badly than we had the previous one to England. So we just moved ahead of Scotland on net run rate there. Now there's going to be a game in Bulawayo, which is great for fans at Queen's, as we're going to be playing India on Tuesday. Tough game. We've never failed to win a match at the Under-19 Cricket World Cup, so we need to win a game to keep up that record. But India topped their group ahead of Pakistan. We're playing Pakistan at Harare Sports Club on Saturday. That's the one we have to target to avoid embarrassment of going through a whole tournament, where the only point we got was from that game that didn't take place at Takashinga because of the wet outfield. So it's been a very tough campaign for us at the Under-19 Cricket World Cup. Remember, we've finished as high as 6th back in 2004. Our last 3 placings have been 11th and 12th, and so we're looking at probably 11th or 12th this time. At least we avoided going into the 13th to 16th place playoffs. But we haven't really capitalised on having the home advantage, Sips.
Yeah, it's true. Obviously, the rain has been playing a part, and also some very tough fixtures for us, England and Pakistan and India also coming up next. But Simba, what have your thoughts been on the Under-19 World Cup so far? Maybe how Zim's played or just the actual hosting of the tournament?
Yeah, I think, as the host, it was really going to be kind of embarrassing for us to bow out in the group stages, but somehow we managed to sneak in. Yes, the net run rate, like Steve was saying, that not really something that many people knew about how it really works, but the fact that we managed to get in the Super Six, and I think we just need to keep our heads high, because you look at the gulf that is between us and the other countries. You saw what England did, and you saw even Scotland itself. But then we are in a tournament, we just have to face off our opponents and just hope for the best. But the fact that we managed to go beyond the group stage, for me, is good.
Yeah, so just to correct myself, it's Bangladesh on Saturday at Harare Sports Club, not Pakistan for the young Chevrons. Yeah.
Yeah. So we wish our young Chevrons all the best. Obviously, India will be a big test for them. But with our ladies who are currently in Nepal, it's been a tough ICC T20 World Cup qualifier. 3 losses, so we went winless in the group stages. And it shows the divide between the African sides in cricket and the rest of the world. Because in our African regional qualifiers, we went unbeaten. And to go to the international tournament, it's now simply beaten. So, tough record.
Yeah, it's a very disappointing campaign from the Lady Chevrons, losing all 4 games. They've never qualified for the T20 World Cup, and they've come close before when Marianne Musonda was the captain. But this time, Thailand beat us convincingly. That was a good yardstick for us, because they've denied us a couple of times before. We're just slipping further behind. To lose to Nepal, as much as they're the hosts and had some advantage, we wouldn't have expected that. So it's been a very disappointing campaign. We had Yvonne Mangunda on the show last week. She was a pioneer of women's cricket, wicketkeeper in the initial Takashinga setup, and she didn't want to say too much, but clearly all is not well behind the scenes. Kellis and Lovu, she starred for us, half century against Nepal in the last game, but she's been a star since 15, and she still hasn't gone outside of the country, and we should be getting her out to get to exposure at camps, at courses, at clubs outside of the country. So, yeah, if you stand still, others are going to move ahead of you, and that's the problem with our Lady Chevrons, that they've been standing still probably for the last 10 years, and others have moved ahead.
Yeah, so it's been tough for our cricket recently in this month of January, but looking ahead in February, we do have the ICC Men's T20 World Cup. We've qualified this time round, so no losses there. But do you think we should expect a sort of similar result if we get to the playoff stages? Will that be a good tournament for us?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely, yes. We'll take anything as a positive there. Preparation's pretty good. Courtney Walsh, West Indies legend, in as bowling coach. So that's really big for us there. I think preparations are okay as well. So, yeah, we'll hope for something.
And then taking things off the cricket pitch into the MMA cage, Themba Gorimbo over the weekend and last week has denied any of his cultural roots to Zimbabwe and is very dissatisfied with his fans and Zimbabwe as a whole. Simba, give us the rundown with the situation here.
Yeah, I think I saw an interview of him and saying that he was just taking everything off and saying that he cut off ties with his family, and also that he no longer belongs to Zimbabwe, he belongs to the universe. And it is because of the relations that went sour with his family, and also think the messages that he has also been receiving on social media, the toxic messages, and he's just cutting ties with Zimbabwe.
And do you think this reaction from Themba is justified? Has he got cause for what he's saying and how he's feeling?
Yeah, it's a bit controversial, Sips, but just take you back about Themba, the way that he started. He left Zimbabwe as a boy, as an economic refugee, went to South Africa. The first time that he came to Zimbabwe, it was about 17 years later, and he was now a different Themba from the refugee that went to South Africa. And now he was a world champion in EFC, and he was named the sports person of the year. Was
Yes.
20, yeah.
Yeah, I was the chair of the panel then
Yeah.
in 2019 when Themba was still in the EFC before he moved up to the higher level, and we looked at his achievements then, and he thoroughly deserved the award in 2019. We looked at his nationality issues as well. Everything was in order. He clearly was still a Zimbabwean, but we know that he can be emotional, isn't it? And so
Yeah.
he said, you can scatter my ashes in Kruger National Park when I'm gone. I mean, yeah, he was obviously very, very emotional talking to CNN, but also there were issues with the SRC about him carrying the national flag a couple of years ago, Simba. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, when you look at it, the way that he went to South Africa, started doing manual jobs, started as a gardener and then a security guard, and just juggling between that, being a security guard, going to the gym in the evening, and started MMA, and rising to be a world champion in EFC was not just something small. And after that, trying to get the attention of Dana White, the UFC president, was also something that you could say he also did it tactfully, because many MMA fighters wants to get into UFC, but not many have got that chance. And you really fought hard to get that attention, and you managed to grab one. And like his argument that many people began to know about Themba Gorimbo after he was an EFC champion and after he was named the Zimbabwean sports person of the year. And before that, nobody knew about him. So he's kind of made himself without any input in terms of grassroots. And, at times I believe that Zimbabweans are too toxic on social media. Yeah, when they speak about somebody, they speak like they're from a position of authority, like they know the person, but just rising to be at the position that Themba is right now to fight in the UFC, I think it's not a mean achievement. And he has got his frustrations. You know what it is when you rise. And I'm pretty sure you also listened to John Mikel Obi, the Nigerian and Chelsea legend, saying that, when you rise, even the extended family now starts making plans using your fame and your money. And Themba came back and he was drilling boreholes, and at some point was building a classroom block in his rural area, and he was trying to do a lot for the community, but then he announced that he was leaving those things because of, people would now want to come in, others want to politicize the things, and others want to gain share of the things that they didn't fight for. So I think I kind of understand him when it comes to those frustrations, how it is difficult. And I also remember Emmanuel Adebayo. He was also talking about how the extended family, and including his own family, was also at loggerheads with him in terms of the things that he would have achieved. So I think when you become a superstar, there are a lot of things that happens with the family members, with the community in your country. And of course, Themba being Themba, is outspoken. Once you shoot, you can also shoot back. Yeah. And there are things that you'd say that local athletes would not say. Like in that instance, when he was fighting in UFC, his first fight, and he wanted the Zimbabwean flag on his shorts, and said was that he used to register through the SRC, pay something, and he was saying, I was not made by Zimbabwe. I made myself, and why do you want me to pay for something? And
to pay a development fee affiliate.
Yeah, to affiliate. So those are the things that you could really speak out. And it's something like even when you have a player or an athlete that made himself outside the country. And I think those are things that needs to be really looked into. So if it comes to somebody who can really speak out, it kind of becomes a problem.
Yeah.
You look what was happening even, just ended Africa Cup of Nations. You look at the things that were coming marvelous Nakamba's way. I think even if a player makes a mistake or an athlete makes a mistake, but some of the attack was too personal, and, you could see an athlete crumbling. So for Themba, he doesn't take it to him. He also throws it back.
Yeah, and I think also on the social media side of things, I think as sports fans, we need to know that defeat is not always failure. Just because you didn't win, it doesn't mean that you failed, because it depends the level that you're at. So for Themba to be at the highest level in UFC, if he loses a fight, it doesn't mean that he's failed per se. And this is the case across the board in sporting disciplines, that because you've lost, it doesn't mean you failed, because you might have got to such a high level that that on its own is a victory. So yeah, we can be too toxic on social media. I think that's a big issue.
Yeah, and in mixed martial arts, boxing is more or less like a cup final. When you lose, you also get something. So for many people, they think that when a person loses in a match in MMA or in boxing, you don't get something. No, you get something. So I think at times when people celebrate when one gets beaten or loses in a fight, it's not the end of the world for him.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, Steve, I do agree with you. With he's already at that in the UFC. Like, it's such a saturated competitive pool.
Yeah.
He's already a part of that top 1%
Yes.
of fighters. So if he does lose a fight here and there, it's all fine. But for you, Rodwell, obviously you're not an MMA expert, but how do you feel when you hear an athlete from a country denouncing their natural residency?
Yeah, I think we like Simba says, it's a bit controversial, but ultimately it's our responsibility to support each other as fans, as administrators. Themba is one person, like we said, who doesn't hold back. But can you imagine the number of athletes that we have out there who are criticized day in, day out, and are holding back? So for teams, I would also encourage them, even if they are football clubs, to have psychologists within their own teams, because some of the criticism that these athletes really draw to themselves are unwarranted, and most of the time they are coming from an uninformed point of view. But some of us being in football, I've learned to tell myself that when it comes to football fans, everyone knows. When it comes to medicine or engineering or broadcasting, people stand back. But when it comes to football matters, our biggest stakeholder, the fans, they seem to know everything. And well, they are the biggest stakeholders, so we need to take that criticism with a pinch of salt, but at the same time, we need to develop mechanisms that then build our players in the face of that criticism, because the fans will criticize, definitely.
Well, let us know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section about this whole Themba Gorimbo story and how he felt he had no support from his fans and his own community. And support has been always a very important topic in the PSL. Highlanders at one point were struggling for support after Rodwell was allegedly ignoring calls. But since then, there has been a development. Thabo Senong possibly has stepped down to assistant coach, and a new coach at the helm is at Scotland, now, rather at Highlanders, Benjani. So, Simba, you once said that this appointment of Benjani, well, the appointment of Thabo, was a rather roundabout route to eventually get Benjani into the helm. Do you still think that's the truth?
Yeah, it's actually when it was talk about his work permit going back to South Africa, and I said we are kind of having another Tom Saint Fit issue, whereby the coach goes away to sort out his work permit and another coach will be appointed. But I think it's really hard to be a Highlanders executive member at the moment, because you are caught between a rock and hard surface. You need the money within the club, but you also have a constituency back there which is criticizing every decision that you're making. But who are you going to appease? Do you appease your fans? But when the season starts, you don't have anything in your coffers. Or there's somebody who has got the money, and should you take that money and try to get the quality players so that when the season starts, you are also able to compete? And the fans seems like they've got a short memory when the team is winning. Once the team starts winning, they forget about where the money is coming from or everything that happened before. They start cheering the leadership, they cheering the people that are there. So like when this talk about Benjani coming in surfaced last year, and Highlanders executive issued a statement that was kind of a little bit vague, because there was towards the end where they left it open that Benjani can come through, because they said that we have got our channels that we follow when we want to appoint a coach, but went on to appoint Senong. But then the coffers forced them then to retrace and have a conversation with Nshuvayo so that money could pour in. And indeed, money was poured in, and now they've got a new bus there is salaries for the coach. And to be honest also, if I was in that same position, there isn't much of a difference between Senong and Benjani Mwaruwari, because they are also really starting. Yes, Senong, we know him is under 20 coach for the Bafana for the South African national team, and then went to Lesotho, but didn't really achieve much. So when you are in such a situation, you'd rather weigh the options and say, let's give Benjani a chance, try to have so much in terms of support, and there is no support that is really crucial in football than money. And that's what happened.
For me, it was the tone of Highlanders changed, though. At first they were saying, we're in control, we decide who the coach is, even if there's an offer to bring in another coach. But in the end, the statement when Benjani then took over is that we have to follow where the money is. So for Rodwell, I'm sure you're happy. The more money in the PSL, the better.
Yeah, and you see the bottom line, Steve, is you need to look at the team and its identity. Highlanders calls itself a community-based team. I'm pretty sure that Sir Wicknell is part of the community, so why deny him that right to also support a team that he has openly said he loves himself? So if the team is for the community, if the team is as nicknamed as they say in Ndebele, team the team for the whole nation, we then I think should not be selective as to who supports it and at what time. Maybe the modalities may be a topic for discussion, but for me, I'm quite glad that money is being injected in clubs, because our concern as the Premier Soccer League is the financial sustainability of clubs. So if clubs have more money, the bigger, the better. So for me, like you said, Steve, I look at it from a positive point of view. Let the money come in the clubs. How it's managed is a story for another day. But at least we must get the funding, which we have been crying for, from A to Z. Now that it comes, we must not start sitting on high roofs and saying A or B. The fans must put in the money. It's a community team. He's part of the community. Let him contribute. If he has put in a certain amount, others are welcome to add more. So it's not like I think the sponsor is coming in to say it's only me sponsoring. He's simply saying I'm part of the community. I also have a stake. Nkomo is my uncle. I'm indebted to this club, and he's a big fan of it. So let him chip in like everyone else.
Yeah, and so Wicknell now is one of the main benefactors, and the fans and pundits went on to say he's probably trying to control Highlanders and get his way. And then Wicknell then released a statement saying, no, that's not what I'm doing here. I just simply want to support and sponsor. Simba, do you think that Wicknell is trying to control Highlanders and get what he would want, I guess?
No, I'll stand with his weight. It's just supporting. At the end of the day, Highlanders have got a new bus this year. Without Ignore, they were not going to get it this year. And look, just their rivals, Dynamos. They don't have anybody pouring in such amount of money. And, in terms of ownership, there's a lot that happens for one to have total control of the team. Some of these things is just the same thing that Rodwell alluded to, that when it comes to engineering and other things, people just step back. But when it comes to football, almost everyone seems like they know a lot about football. So this is the same thing that is happening. When Highlanders were struggling, not many people were coming forward to say we want to assist Highlanders. But when somebody comes in, you look at the stage of the person and say, no, this one should not be supporting Highlanders. But what are the other people doing to support the club? So for me, I'll just stand by his word to say, he's just doing his part. We have seen before clubs, having benefactors pouring in money. But at the end of the day, after a year or two or so, we just see that the people that have been controlling the club are still the ones controlling the club. A lot has been said about Dynamos, but we're still controlling Dynamos right now. It's Bernard Marriott.
Well, yeah, so much for you guys to think and digest on. Highlanders have been kept afloat to Thabo Senong into the assistant position and Benjani at the helm. But to Simba and Rodwell, thank you guys so much for sitting in the fans with us. It was a great episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. For you guys watching, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. Share your thoughts and opinions. Remember to visit fanzone.co.zw. Read some articles. Sign yourself up so that when the next predictor comes along, you are ready to go. And there might even be, Little Birdie says, amongst the grapevine, there might even be another predictor competition later this year. But that's us from the Fanzone team, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.